Very cool. Well, let's talk about some of the other ones you're playing.
Okay, so my faithful Paul Reed Smith. So you'll see how beat up this one is.
Right.
Because I played this a lot over the years. Actually, it's not too bad, is it? It's not too bad. But a few battle scars there, a few battle scars.
Noble wounds. Yeah, that's great.
So Paul Reed Smith guitars, I started playing these around about 2001 I started playing them. And I was very much, at the time I was very much into metal sounds. I wasn't making metal music, but I love the kind of musical vocabulary of metal music, and I wanted to get a lot more of that kind of heavy riff stuff in there. And I worked with a friend of mine's band, Swedish band called Opeth, and the guitar player in that band, Michael, was playing Paul Reed Smiths. And I loved the sounds he was getting out of his PRS guitar. So again, I went down to the Paul Reed Smith showroom at the time, or the distributor in England, and I tried a few Paul Reed Smith guitars out. And this is not the one I originally got. I got this one a couple of years later when PRS very kindly decided they wanted to endorse me. And this, I think, is the best sounding I have. It's, you know, like every guitar manufacturer, they all sound different. This one has just been the one I seem to have bonded with the most.
Is it a Tremonti, do you know, the model?
Already, so you've lost me now. Tonto, is it a Tremonti?
It's gold.
It's gold.
Okay, it's the gold one. Yeah.
Sorry, you're speaking to a real idiot, and a real idiot here. I don't know all this stuff. I really don't know. Honestly, all I care about is does it sound good.
Yeah.
You're talking about the pickups, right?
Well, I thought it might.
Marcio pickups,
They're DiMarzios. Okay.
Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it might be a Tremonti model, his signature model, but it's because it's kind of less poly shaped and a whammy bar on it, but I'm not sure.
You know a lot more than I do already.
Well, it's my job.
I've owned this guitar for a long time, and you already know more about it than I do. Yeah.
So, do you know what kind of DiMarzios you put in it?
Black and white ones.
Okay, black and white ones. Yeah, I recognize those. Well, anyway, it sounds great. I've heard that guitar on.
You're beginning to get a feel for where you shouldn't go now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right. The sort of questions you shouldn't ask. Right?
Sock will answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, so that's sort of became your. It's not your initial PRS, but eventually became the
initial one. Actually, I used for Drop D.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the reason I originally bought it, because I was doing a lot of stuff with drop tuning.
They do that well.
They do that really well.
Yeah.
So I bought one initially for Drop D, and that's the one I still use for Drop D on the show.
Okay, so let's hear this through the bad cap, through the big rig.
Yeah. So this is the sort of metal sound that. So that was kind of what I wanted the PRS to do. Those big metal riffs.
Yeah, that is huge. It's actually shaking my body.
And that's now through the bad cat head.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Okay, so between the Telly, this, and then what's your third guitar?
So the third guitar is another PRS, but just in Drop D. So we can whip that out if you like, Ton. So this
is your first.
This is the one I originally bought, the first PRS I ever owned. I actually went to the showroom in England and chose this one.
Yeah.
And this one we use for Drop D stuff. So similar. But that's really the only difference. It's in Drop D. Yeah.
That's great. Well, as long as you have that on, and we've talked about it a little bit, let's talk about this amp you're running into.
Okay. So this is a Bad Cat 50 watt Lynx head, and I've been using Bad Cat amps exclusively now, probably for about 15 years. And again, it was a very similar. It was around the same time I wanted something that would give me the big crunchy metal riffs, but also have the flexibility to do all the other stuff I do too.
Sure.
And I've been using them for a long time now. Yeah.
And you're running it into this attenuator,
So
right?
yeah, so this is called an Unleash, and all this allows me from my pedal board to switch to a higher amplitude. So this is between the head and the speaker.
Okay.
So this is not driving the head any any hotter, because I don't want to do that. But sometimes I just want a little bit of extra volume.
Yeah.
For a solo or something.
Sure.
So I can program a patch in which basically switches to the other channel on the Unleash, which you can see. It just basically gives you two channels, different, two different sort of volume settings that you can choose between. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well actually that kind of segues right into your pedal board. Let's talk about that. Okay, now we're at the motherboard, the mother of all boards. Take us through this thing. It's really clean, man. I mean, there's a ton of stuff there, but it's really clean.
This pedal board was designed for me by the guy who makes the switching system, Gigrig, Daniel, who also has that YouTube show, the Pedal Show, is that what it's called or something? Anyway, so Daniel is like my guru because he knows I know nothing about guitars, and I just say to him, Daniel, design me that. So he knows what kind of thing I'm looking for. Yeah. He designed me the system. So basically the way it works is that I have one bank on the G2, the Gigrig switching system, is just what I call generic sounds.
Sure.
So I have a generic clean sound, I have a generic tremolo sound, a generic heavy sound, etc., etc. Pretty much each one of those is just engaging one of these pedals. Mm-hmm. So each of these switches here is one loop on the Gigrig. So this particular sound here, which I just call the clean sound, the only pedal engaged in that loop is the Source Audio EQ pedal. Okay, so generally with clean sounds, I like them to be a little bit brighter than the Bad Cat naturally will make them. So I usually have a setting just to brighten up the clean sound. But this is essentially the sound going straight through into the amp, just the tiny little bit of EQ, just to brighten up a bit. So it's a nice sound.
Yeah.
So then, going through the patches then, so then I'll have one which has just got a vibrato pedal added and a little bit of delay added to it.
Okay.
The vibrato pedal is this one here, the Diamond vibrato pedal.
Okay.
I love this pedal, absolutely love it. It just gives a little bit more colour to a clean sound without necessarily sounding like you've added anything to it, if that makes sense. So again, it's just a little touch of delay and a little bit of vibrato, and suddenly that sounds much richer, more colourful.
Yeah, it's a very subtle